Right now, Ukraine has a problem with their drones. Russian jammers are making the drones effectively inoperable, and that includes consumer-level drones, the least expensive drones, commercial drones, and military drones. They're all in the same problem basket. So right now, Ukraine Defense Forces are trialing a solution to the jamming problem that uses fiber optic cable. And I saw a CBC News piece about this a little while ago, and here's a video clip of it. The idea is to attach a spool of fiber optic cable to the bottom of the drone, and one end of the cable is attached to the drone, and the other end is attached to the controller handset. And that is effectively unjammable. I mean, you're suffering a weight penalty, and you've got to make sure that the cable doesn't break, but it is effectively unjammable. Now, the subject of this video is a way to achieve the same thing or nearly the same thing, but without using fiber optic cable. And the concept is to attach a small electronic box, this is a mock-up, to the drone, and an identical box to the controller handset. And these two communicate with each other. We're effectively replacing the original equipment manufacturer's communication link, which might be Wi-Fi, with something else, a frequency agile special communication link. So to some in the audience, this will mean something. I'm talking about a gigahertz of frequency coverage and the ability to change frequencies in a microsecond or possibly less. So, you know, would that be an unjammable communication link? Maybe. I don't want to talk in absolutes, but let's say highly, very highly difficult, unjammable, very difficult to jam, highly jam resistant would be a way to put it. And the question is, does it confer enough jamming resistance to be a useful tool in Ukraine's arsenal in the war against Russia? And I imagine there might be some circumstances where a fiber optic solution would work well, and other circumstances where it would be better to have a network, or more advantageous to have a network of highly jam resistant drones. And we're talking about something that is retrofittable to all the drones, no matter what. No surgery required. The antenna to antenna coupling, so the as far as the drone knows and the handset knows, it's using its normal communication link, but this is substituted instead. So that's the purpose of that's the subject of this video. Oh, I want to add one more thing. What excites me the most about this idea is that there's an onboard computer on this thing. And because it's a transceiver, all information, all video and all control information flows through this box. So what could you do with this box once it's inserted into the communication link? You can add AI to it. You could turn the drones into anti-radiation homing drones, killer drones. You could have a network of them, extending range and so forth. So whatever you want to add to a $200 consumer drone, it goes in here. It doesn't go in the drone, at least to start. So anyway, that's the subject of the video. We'll move on to look at what's in these videos, that explain the idea. I made these videos months ago. No one has ever seen them. So let's look at them now. Now that's the subject of the video. The purpose of this video is to solicit funding to demonstrate a proof of concept of this idea and technology, and to produce a set of combat-ready units for combat evaluation. And I know there are online portals to solicit funding. If you've got a good idea, let us know and we'll evaluate it and you'll get funding that way. But in my experience, those portals do not work for small defense companies. They might work well for the big boys, but they don't work for the small companies, and that's where the innovation comes from. So let's proceed. I'll show you what the idea is, not the how of it, but the what of it, and illustrate the benefits of this kind of a solution. And as far as funding goes, people seem to be looking at this channel right now. Let's see what YouTube can do. There's a couple of more points I just want to add on at the end here. The project as it's described, the technology as it's described in this video and subsequent videos, is just one example of how the technology could be fielded, namely like retrofitting a small electronics box to an existing drone. But there are other business models that could work as well. For example, incorporating the technology directly into a drone, one that's into new drones. And yet another option would be to manufacture a card which is fitted to existing drones to put them back into service. So there are several ways to bring this technology into market. Yet another one is to finance the creation of the fieldable combat-ready unit, a single one, and then license for taking the design from TRL-3 to TRL-9, and then licensing the design to other manufacturers, and that's another way of recouping an investment. So there are lots of things, and they're all on the table for discussion. The last point is that patent applications have been filed and awarded for this technology. So in order to proceed, it is necessary to have a license. What isn't on the table is proceeding without a license. And I have experience with that, but that won't work in this case. The idea is just too big to fly under the radar. It'll be picked up by media. Drones are now immune to jamming. That's going to get out, and there'll be a trail. So a license is needed. This video is continued in part 2, which explains the idea in more detail and some of the benefits that accrue from this type of solution.